The frame of mind, aka
Renewed Kings.
yes, sir.
Yeah, man. So for today's topic, we'll be talking on robbed of innocence and everything that entails with that from the information we have and also just from our own perspective. So, we just want everybody to, feel free to chime in whenever you come into the room and just let us know what you think. But you want to go ahead and head it off from any information you got.
Um, I got some stuff right here. It's from the same website. It's from the NCTSN, National Child Traumatic Stress Network, and this is dealing with all areas of stress and trauma from for children. And this is robbed of innocence. It's like, well, do you want to clarify the robbed of innocence, like just the basis of this whole topic, so I can just be on track here?
Yeah, so robbed of innocence is basically detailing, the mental health aspect, also just different traumas that children face at a very young age, from whether what they see from their parents to what they see from school, just life in general. And basically, we're going to give people just more of an insight from just the medical perspective, just practitioners, just advice on therapy and just different aspects of that, and because robbed of innocence, basically the headline also is a way to save the future is to start with the roots of the next generation, which is the kids. So that's entail what we're trying to do, just trying to give people information to help their own kids, nephews, nieces, or whoever like that may need the information.
Okay. Well, I have here, like I was mentioning before, about from the National Child Trauma Stress Network, the nctsn.org. They just break it down in a few bullet points. They have attachment and relationships, physical health, body and brain, emotional responses, discitation, behavior, cognitive thinking and learning, self concept and future orientation, long term health consequences, economic impact. So they just break down the different bullet points within how trauma affects children. I'm going to start off, and this is from the NCS, nctsn.org. I'm just giving citation to this so they won't say I'm stealing any of their information. And I have the first bullet point is attachment and relationships. And it says the importance of a child's close relationship with a caregiver cannot be overestimated. Through relationships with important attachment figures, children learn to trust others. And that's a big key point. Some older adults, they betray the children's trust. And it's who some of these parents leave their children around with, like may it be a aunt, uncle, older cousins, and anything for that matter. Do you have anything to chime in before I go on? Like the trust and like that they build with certain relatives or immediate relatives in your family?
Well, yeah, that trust plays a major role as far as the kid being able to decipher who they feel is in their best interest, because sometimes out of either fear or them trusting the wrong person, they may not be willing to speak up because they don't want to get that person in trouble. We've seen that in the entertainment realm and also in everyday life. So trust is very important, especially because a kid's mind is still building. Their brain hasn't fully developed yet, so they're somewhat in that state of limbo, trying to figure out, okay, do I step this way, do I think that way? So very important.
Yes, and that's my next bullet point. The physical health, the body, and the brain. How that trauma, how it develops and how they function thereafter. But let me finish with the attachment and relationships. It says, let me go back and relay. Through relationships with important attachment figures, children learn to trust others, regulate their emotions, and interact with the world. They develop a sense of the world as safe or unsafe, and they come to understand their own value as individuals. What I see from that point is like if you grew up in a certain neighborhood, if your parents like provided a good, secure home financially, economically, spiritually, that the children would have an idea what it is to grow up to be more in a safe environment or to be a more well-rounded individual once they grow up. And you have the other side where some people grow up in a household that's not so productive. Well, they might have two parents in an environment that's not so safe, or it's the single parent household where they don't have one of the other parent protecting the interest of the children, and and those children can go grow up and see that family dynamic, and they can be like, hey, well, I didn't have this and that as a child growing up, so this is the world as I see it. You know what I mean? Anything you want to add to that, Elijah?
Yeah, I actually, well, I'm definitely on that point. I mean, children should be, they should be handled delicately, but also, you have the other aspect of where you have to be balanced with them. You have to handle them, as such, because they are kids, but also you have to be firm with them when it's time to be serious. Because if they take you as just a friend, or they don't see you as a parent, or you don't, lay the laws of your house down, or how you expect for them to be around you, or around when they get around other people, they're gonna act out whoever influenced them the most. So by you being the parent, you should, try to balance how you're raising your kid. You know what I'm saying? You show them love, but you also show them, tough love in whatever way you see fit, but also understand however you do discipline them, it does come with, certain reparation. Not does come with certain reprimands. You know what I'm saying? You can have, I mean, if you got a kid that, they want to call the cops on you or call a family friend, you got to just be aware that could possibly happen if your kid doesn't either one respect you, or they just feel like they just don't want to be disciplined in that way. So I know everybody was raised differently, but you just gotta do what's best for you and yours, and just pray, and have faith that, it works out, because nobody's going to ever really be prepared for a child, but you learning on the go. You know what I'm saying? But you just make sure you as the parent are in the mind state to be able to raise them. So it's highly important, on that end.
And from I want to continue my point, and it says, okay, they develop a sense of the world as a safe or unsafe, and safe and unsafe, and come to the understanding their own value as individuals, which I was pointing to earlier. When those relationships are unstable or unpredictable, children learn that they cannot rely on others to help them, which is what I was saying before about how they have certain people uh, in their lives that, like, if they had parents that weren't on their square, and they didn't have parents that provided a good spiritual, economic background for them, and physical home per se, domicile, that they wouldn't, feel as safe if they didn't have that. And children can see it, and then they get used to certain roles that they have in the home that they can just grow up to and be like, hey, well, this is what I grew up in. This is a vicious cycle. And it says, I have here, when primary caregivers exploit and abuse a child, the child learns that he or she is bad and the world is a terrible place. The majority of abused or neglected children have difficulty developing a strong, healthy attachment to a caregiver. Children who do not have healthy attachments have been shown to be more vulnerable to stress. They have trouble controlling and expressing emotions, and may react violently or inappropriately to situations. And you see that a lot today, with people not getting the proper guidance from elders or guardians, or parents who may have you in their life. Like us as adults, we set, if you have children in your lives, we set the standard, and we set what children are going to be. We're the foundation, the mother and the fathers of the foundation. I don't have any children yet, but it's good to guide children out there that don't have that proper guidance. And we are the foundation. And it takes a nation and a village to raise children. People don't realize it takes a village to raise children. And we should be, especially us as a Black community, we should be there for our children, because we see this cycle, this vicious cycle, and it's living and playing out today in this society. We see this vicious cycle that goes on with people fighting in the street, the violence, the disrespect. It's at an all-time high, man.
Yeah, it is. And, like you said, it takes us being able to work together to see each child flourish. But, it doesn't really happen that way. And I also want to add on to about just the different layers of abuse. So from the mayoclinic.org, they detail, different types of abuse, and then also some of the symptoms from that. So I'm going to just kind of give that information real quick. So you have physical abuse, which is, we know when the child's purposely physically injured or put at risk. Sexual abuse, such as fondling, or genital contact, intercourse, expulsion or exposure to child pornography. Emotional abuse, just self-esteem or emotional well-being. Verbal and emotional assault, Medical abuse, gives false information about illness in a child that requires medical attention, putting the child at risk of injury or unnecessary medical care. Neglect, child neglect, failure to provide adequate food, shelter, supervision, education. And so, real quick, I'm gonna read some of the symptoms that might come from a child facing, that type of abuse. You have, withdrawal from friends or usual activities, changes in behavior, hyperactivity, depression, anxiety, or unusual fears, an apparent lack of supervision, frequent absences from school, reluctant to leave school activities because he or she doesn't want to go home, attempts at running away, rebellious or defiant behavior, self-harm or attempts at suicide. And there was also something else I wanted to point out as well with that. But I'll probably point that out a little later. But and that's just some of the abuse, and then also the symptoms that can come from that. So you got to think a kid brain is still developing, and then they're facing all those challenges. Is just hard out there for a lot of kids who go through that, who still have to put a smile on their face, get forced to go to church, get forced to be at functions where they're supposed to be this, be part of this dog and pony show that the parents are putting together to show, oh, we got a great family. Don't look at us as odd, or why does he have a black eye, or why is her hair like that, or whatever the case may be. So it's very important that we check up on one another and make sure a kid can feel comfortable, speaking into an adult or somebody that's going to help them out.
And I'll come up with my own anecdotal experience. Chime in with this, like even with children, something if something is going on between the parents, it inadvertently and indirectly affects the children. Like if the mother and father are going through relationship problems, it trickles down to the children also. And I remember one instance that we had this well, our family when we were together, my mom and dad was married. We had this family photo that they took us to, and it was like at this old grocery store. I don't know if anybody knows ever heard of Community Cash out there. It was this old grocery store, and all of us went in for the photo. After the photo was developed and everything, I looked at the photo and I looked at us overall as a family, and we didn't seem like we were happy. Like, and those were problems that came from my mother and my father. They were having their issues in the relationship, in the marital relationship. And but so far as children, my parents treated us love with as much love as they could give us. Lovely. I loved when they were together, but the issues between those two, it affected us. And those are things that people need to come out and talk about, that if they have children, the effects that they have between the both of them. And then that looks in children, they look to their parents at those relationship problems, or at the relationship that the parents have. If the parents are in a loving relationship, they express it, and the kids get to see, okay, well, this is how a man treats a woman, this is how a woman treats a man, and everything in between. But then if they have that negativity in their relationship, they'll be like, oh, well, my dad treated my mom like this, my mom treated my dad like this, and everything in between, and say, well, everything has an effect. So it could be just not just that thing of directly to the children, but just between the adults. So,
Yeah, I can definitely understand that. And I also wanted to add onto that from the verywellmind.com. They just had a insert about what could lead to an increase in certain risks. So childhood trauma may increase an individual's risk in asthma, coronary heart disease, depression, diabetes,
mhm,
and stroke. And this is a study that was published in 2016 by Psychiatric Times. And it was noted that the prevalence of suicidal attempts was significantly higher in adults who experienced trauma such as physical abuse, sexual abuse, and parental domestic violence as a child. So, I mean, we just, like you were saying, you see so much as a young child that it can really just break you down. You know what I mean? And then when you don't see other relatives uh, that you could look up to and say, well, at least I have these people in my family that are not that bad. It's like all the way around, you just see terror. So you grow up terrorizing other people. You know what I mean? So people need to talk and get out the things that's holding them back, because just like a volcano, you will erupt, and then you might erupt on the wrong people, and it's just chaos out here right now.
yeah, man, I tell you, it's yeah. Um, Yeah, people are not doing children. They're doing the youngins a disservice, man. Not even just young children. I look out there and I see like this is a problem I have, and I struggled with this like last week. I was so emotionally taken by it because I'll be 40 in June 14th, and I noticed that even it's not even the children, it's guys that's just younger than me in their early 30s, like in their late 20s and in their early 20s. I noticed those guys come to me and look to me for answers. They come to me and like, oh well, what should I do with this? And I try to give them the best advice possible. I try to direct them the best as possible because I'm like, shit, I had to grow up in a world where I had to learn by trial and error. So I try to give these guys as much advice as possible. I'm gonna go to another anecdotal things because another anecdotal scenario or situation because I don't know. I hope people like these little stories. um, I was at FedEx Express. I used to work FedEx Ground. I'm trying to transfer to FedEx Express. I saw a young man. He was coming in the same time I was. He's 31 years old from around Shreveport, Louisiana. He just moved here to Texas. He was nervous as shit, man. He was nervous, dropping his ID, asking where to go. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. 31 is a big brother, but he's probably like about an inch or two taller than me. I'm about 6 foot, so he's about 6'1", 6'2". I'm about 6 foot and a half. So, but I told him that, you know what I'm saying? Like, I was like, man, this is like a guy that can get like a lot of chicks and stuff, just nervous guy. And he asking me, when we first came in, he asked me, where can I go? Where was it? He's like, hey, sir, where do we go to for this interview? I said, man, I'm here just like you. And then we going through, he fumbling his ID through the security and everything. Then we both sat in on the interview because we were doing it one-on-one, but it was covered by cubicles. But I could hear the things they were saying because it was in a computer room. And he's yes, sir, to the interview. I'm like, oh man, I'm thinking like, brother, you got it, brother, like that. You know what I'm saying? I was just talking to him just to ease him out a little, just to ease him a little bit. And I say, man, you look like, man, I come from Virginia, man. You like Michael Vick because he like Michael Vick with a beard. And I was like, man, you
Yeah.
like Michael Vick? Yeah, a lot of people tell me that. And I was like, yeah, man, big brother, man. I was like, man, like, I'm thinking like, man, you shouldn't be nervous, man. This is an open interview. You got it. But those people look for guidance from us. And I'm like, I just talk to him to try to ease him out, and just like, hey, man, you got this. And you know what I'm saying? Everybody's looking for guidance. And he asked me, I was like, man, I'm about to be 40, man. And he's like, yeah, I can be your younger brother, man. I'm 31 years old. I'm like, yeah, man. And we just talked about jobs and where we were from. And yeah, I mean, it's just people look for support, man, because especially us in the African American community, especially our younger brothers, we need more support, like more than ever now. We need mentors out there mentoring these young guys. So they looking for direction. It's a lot of youth out there. And people think these guys out here, they think these guys out here are all wild and crazy. And these motherfuckers are these not motherfuckers. I'm sorry to say. But I'm so passionate about this. It's like these guys need mentoring. And whenever I get to a point financially where I want to be, it's not all financial, but whenever I get to a point where I want to be, I want to mentor some of these guys. I want to go in and speak to some of these dudes, man, if they're willing to listen. But some of these guys, when they coming and asking you, they're receptive to information. I don't know if you got to that level yet, Elijah, where you mentoring people that are like 17, 18, 19, but these guys need direction, man.
Well, I mean, for myself, when I was still in the military, that was something that me and Anthony Green Jr. I know
Yeah.
we that was something we signed up for. We did this like this little um they had something with the schools where you can go with like a little mentorship program, and it went real well. And for myself, anytime I'm able to speak to anybody, it could be older, younger, because I've talked to older people who needed, guidance and they needed help
Yeah.
or advice on certain things. So I've been doing that since a very young age. But for myself also too, I got to be receptive of information, and that's how me and you became really close because, like I say, you're older than me, but just like the ironic part of that story was when I was in the military. Then when I first got into the military, you was my mentor, and I didn't know. I was just trying to, figure out, what to do, like, just figure out myself as well. So on different aspects from
Mm.
the job and outside of the job, you helped me with that. So to hear that story came back around full circle with him, it shows that when people are receptive, they can make a big difference. And we don't know everything, but somebody older than us that has taken information over time and use it the way it should be, they can make a difference, which you have. So you've been able to get back to people older and younger than you. So that should be appreciated for sure.
Yeah, man. It's just and that's the whole thing of it, the being receptive of it. But yeah, but as in life, we trying to figure things out. But me, I think right now I'm more inclined to do it. I'm more comfortable within myself because as older as I am, it's like I'm more like back then I probably wouldn't have been as comfortable and as steady on my word. But now when I tell somebody something, I tell somebody something like, okay, well, yeah, I know this, I haven't seen this. So I tell them with more confidence. I have a little bit more confidence in leadership within myself to guide somebody. And that's where I'm at.
Yeah, and then that's doing the right thing. And I also, since we're speaking on kind of guidance and as far as help from, maybe somebody older to somebody younger or vice versa, I want to read this insert from kidshealth.org. And it's basically,
Okay.
for anybody out there who wants to, have their kid take, be in therapy or anything like that, just a couple little tidbits for you all. You find a therapist you and your child feel comfortable with. Take your child to all their appointments if you can. I understand some people, they work or they have different, lifestyles, so they may not be able to do that. Meet with your child's therapist. Ask them, because they will ask them, is there any different problems going on and at home or whatever the case may be. Spend time with your child. Play, cook, read, laugh together, and also be patient and show your child warmth or love, because if you're rushing your child um to get to a certain level that you feel they should already be at, they can feel like, okay, cool, well, let me just pretend I'm there, and they're not really there. So to be able to have the courage and the conviction to say, what, let me be able to give them the passion and show them I'm concerned and I care about what they have going on. Don't say, oh, you ain't nothing like your older brother, you nothing like your sister, you nothing like your daddy, whatever like that, because that will haunt a child. To be able to hearing that detriment, like, okay, well, since I'm not like dad, well, let me go out there and prove something I can be like dad. Let me show by my toughness. Let me go join this group, or let me go do this because it's gonna show that now I'm a man, or let me go do this and show I'm a real woman. So I just think, man, at the end of the day, it's good to be engaged in what your child has going on, or for other people, if you're going to give them advice, actually care and show the passion like you saying you were doing, because it's like, what, he's not giving me something just to push me away, or he don't really want to talk to me. He's telling me this because he wants to see me do better, and if I am able to do better than he is or she is, from the information she's telling me, he or she is telling me, that's not a bad thing. That's actually a blessing, because your parent as parents, or people that's later in life, older people, they should want to see the young generation be even better than them, because they have an opportunity as young people. The information we might have gotten, we got it maybe when we were middle age, or after a little bit after our teens. You know what I mean? So it's just very, that was one thing I wanted to just touch on with therapy, and like, how do you feel about just anybody in general like going to therapy?
I feel that is needed. Me personally, I've actually had a therapist, and I had a therapist as recent as last year because of the stuff I had went through. And people, they go through trauma in all areas and facets of life. I mean, through childhood trauma, sometimes we think we normalize that trauma, and we normalize like certain dysfunctional behaviors that we have in us, and we think we pick that up and we think it's normal. And when we find ourselves going through the same things, but we don't understand that, okay, well, this is dysfunction, this is not normal, so we find ourselves repeating and recycling the wheel. But so far as like, I just recently had uh um a therapist, and I talked to her last year, and it does well because you're venting to a professional. You venting, it doesn't mean you're crazy, because everybody goes through problems. I believe it's only right that you talk to a therapist. And I have some information here. I'm gonna inject this here since we're talking about therapy in the brain. It says, I have here from this website, uh nctsn.org. It says stress in an environment can impair the development of the brain and nervous system. An absence of mental stimulation in neglectful environments may limit the brain from developing to its full potential. Children with complex trauma histories may develop chronic or recurrent physical complaints such as headaches, stomach aches, and physical ailments. Um, yeah, but so far as mentally, yes, you can break that chain and break that cycle by having someone by having professional help. And they can prescribe different things for you to do. Not medically, not from a pharmaceutical standpoint, but like they can give you things to relax your mind, and if you can count down and go to sleep at a certain type of hour, and it's very helpful if you get a professional. I would
Yeah.
seek one.
And that was some great advice you just gave, because that's what people need. They need professional help, and then they need also authentic and genuine advice from whoever is not a professional, not just
Mhm.
yeah, I'm just get out of my face. I don't, because some people, to be honest with you, sometimes when people ask for advice, and depending on who's giving you the advice, they may have an issue with you. You know what I mean? They may just like not. You may remind you may They may see you as somebody that has the opportunity to do or make a change that they haven't been able to make, because you haven't either say messed up your credit, or you haven't done something that put a damper in your past. So, or matter of fact, your future really, before whatever they may be getting over. So they looking at you like, why you come to me for answers? You seem to know everything. You seem to be doing well, and it's just like, don't let whatever you have going on take away from somebody else. And that's why sometimes people say, what, hey, I don't know what to tell you, man. Just you might want to ask somebody else, because I may give you the wrong advice. And I'd rather somebody tell me that than somebody give me advice and it's coming from just a negative place. You know what I mean? Got a negative overtone to it. Well, you should be doing this. How come you're not already doing this? It's like, okay, what do you have to show for what you're doing? Like, let's not go with the back and forth game. You know what I mean? So it's just it's good to have genuine people, man. Like that makes a huge difference in all levels of life.
Yeah, because some people may still be steering and setting you up for failure just because they have something against you. If it's not really authentic, but you can tell the authentic people that really come through and that really want to help you, and that really want to see you do well. But when someone's coming to me with a problem, it's like I want to help as much as I can. Even if it's a stranger, if it's somebody close that you like, try to help them as much as you can. You don't just go around sabotaging people just because somebody's vulnerable. And a lot of people, they do it. They want to see people's downfall. But me, I just want to see people do better. I really want to see people be the best selves as their best selves as possible. So yeah, I mean, anything with me, it's gonna be pretty genuine. I don't have the, I don't. Why would I want to set somebody else up for failure and I don't know them? That's a sick mentality.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah,
understand
it
that.
is. Yeah, man. It's as far as with this topic, man, we can definitely take it, so many different ways. But is
Mhm.
there anything else you want to add? I feel like we've definitely given out a lot of information, and there's more information as well. So I'm pretty sure people who listen to this or listen to the playback, they will probably have something to add or chime on. But we talk about different topics, and this is just for anybody that's gonna be listening to this as a whole. And from we look at the kids, we look at ourselves, we look at the elders in our community, politics, having a good time. So we incorporate all these different ideas to develop shows that we feel like will help in a person of all ages. You know what I mean? We may use our own language or talking points, but it's coming from a real place. So it's better to get the real, raw, and unfiltered version of the truth from our perspective, rather than getting something that's watered down, that's really not going to do nothing for you, but just make you feel good, like the Sunday sermon. But then you go out and do the same things. You know what I mean? So
And I want to add, like, if anybody wants information on this stuff, I gave out the website twice, and I just gave out the website. And what they have on this website, it's for the people in the back, the National Child Traumatic Stress Network.org. The acronym is nctsn.org. And you can hit on all these tabs if you want to learn any more information about childhood trauma, sexual abuse of children and how it affects them. You can go to this website, hit the different tabs, and you can just read along.
yeah, that's definitely much appreciated. And also too, this video will the audio will also be going up on YouTube as well. So that way people will be able to, this is one of those shows where it's at this point in life is needed more than ever before. So this will also be on YouTube as well, for people to be able to see, get a visual of the promo and the cover art we actually have for this particular topic, and also to the links that Kevin was reading off. you will be able to also see that on the Anchor app and all other platforms. We will make sure we have that listed out there for you all to go back and do your own research.
Hmm. Yep. And what we do, we try to put out helpful content like this. It's not all about the actual things that are going on outside of us. Like everybody. Okay, we have this so-called woke culture, but nobody's doing the work to help themselves. And that's how, if you work from within, you're going to help everybody else on the outside. Does that make sense, Elijah? If you work on yourself from within, you're going to help everybody. You can help everybody else if you become a better person yourself. Because
Yeah,
what you're projecting, because if you don't work on yourself and what you're projecting and putting out there in the world, any negativity that you still have within yourself and you haven't worked on it, that can bleed into the world. And that's what we're having now. We're having a lot of hurt people out here that is projecting and putting out negativity and negative energy into the world because they haven't worked on themselves. And me, I'm trying to become a better person as much as I can. I'm trying to leave my mark on this world and some type of legacy before I die. And these brothers out here been dying early. This past month has been a slew of, but they celebrities. Hey, Shock G, rest in peace. Black Rob, rest in peace. DMX, rest in peace. These brothers are 50. People think 50 is up there and it's old, but in the grand scheme of things, 50 is not that old. So, I mean, we got to take care of ourselves and put that positive energy out there.
yeah, it's a must. It's definitely a must.
Yeah.
I'm glad that we was able to do this show. I can't wait till everybody who wants to listen to this definitely do. And one thing I want to add, in closing is, if you want to see better in your community, stop giving your time, your energy to stuff that's gonna devalue, your purpose or what you're trying to aim for. You say, "Oh, how come I don't see this? How come black people not doing this? How come whatever like that?" It's like, are you searching for that, or are you just still watching the same things over and over and having it in a loop, rather than seeking people out here who are doing something? Whether not even just black. What I'm saying, positive business owners, people that have real messages. You can actually go out and find this, whether you can do research or YouTube, TikTok. It's like people put time into what they want, what I'm saying, but then they make excuses for everything else. So it's just like, make the effort. You want to see better, you have to have better inside of you, what I'm saying? So make sure you cleansing your soul, make sure your mind is able to reach certain people, so I just think that you got to just stop making excuses for what you're not seeing out here if you're not putting it out here yourself.
Yeah. And the truth of the matter, Elijah, I'm piggyback off that is negativity sells. If it doesn't bleed, it doesn't lead. That's what they say in the news world. But it's like negativity sells. Death, sex, all the negativity, it sells, and you see it within our society. Anything that's negative, people will line up to watch a train wreck, and it's sad the way we negativity. I think so many people are desensitized to what goes on, and then you trying to force different beliefs on people and different lifestyles and everything like that. But it's like it should come from a genuine place, because when people don't really have that pure heart, they can't really get there to their highest and fullest potential of positivity. So I'm
Yeah,
gonna leave it
yeah,
with that, man.
exactly right, man. Well, I just want to say I appreciate all who have listened to us right now live and all who will listen to us. And, just y'all stay blessed out there. Be safe. This has been another edition of the Southern Frame of Mind podcast, aka the Renewed Kings.
New
And that's what
King.
that is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Y'all have a blessed weekend. Good week out there.